All right, good evening, everyone. It's Thursday night, and we all know what that means. It's time for some Area 51 Super Speedway Truck Series action. And tonight, we're bringing you all the action from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. This will be our second trip here this season, and it's going to be 75 laps around this newly repaved mile-and-a-half D oval here. So, Maxwell Caldwell back with you here tonight after having to miss 1 week and having an off week last week. But right here with Gael Brooks, the boss man, the one that pays me a check. He is here in the booth tonight. And Gael, you were able to cover that action that I missed from Daytona last week. Heard it was a little interesting, and with everything that happened at Daytona, do you think any of that type driving might translate over here to Atlanta? Kind of tell us about last week and what you think you might see from these truckers this week.
I think it won't be the same stuff we saw last week, just because of the fact that we're back at the 1.5 mile at Atlanta. Say just they drive so differently. But yeah, kind of joking was. It was the first night race we've run this season, and almost felt like it was a full moon or something, because it was out of the ordinary. 7 cautions in that race, but at the end, though, Brian Wang able to pull off the win over Tom Dixon, Todd Siebels. So I mean, it was a really good race. I said these guys are going after it, but yeah, just everybody was getting a little wild. It seemed like over the course of the race there. I do not believe we had any truck incident free, so it was just a pretty much a survival one on that one. But I'll say Brian made the move when it counted. Had 1 lap led, the most important lap, of course. But yeah, these guys had I say these guys are definitely going after it. But yeah, I feel like Atlanta it's a whole different animal. It's kind of like you have Daytona, Talladega, then you have iRacing, then you have Atlanta. Like those two are kind of the outliers, and then Daytona, Talladega. You can run those roughly similar. You kind of put those in the same bubble, but these two are just their own little animal. This one's a lot tighter. It feels like you're going so much faster just because of that 1.5 miles versus the 2.5 miles. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see what these guys have in store. And I think the big thing we talked about a little bit pre-race is going to be points, because we're getting down to it after tonight. 2 more races, then we get that 4-race playoff stretch. And I mean, we were looking at it, and there's literally from 4th to, I believe it was 17th, there is a 15-point swing, and we're going to be taking the top 12 in points. So really cannot take anything for granted in these final 3 races before we hit those playoffs.
Absolutely. Beautiful segue into what we were going to look at here pre-race before these drivers grid up here in just a couple of minutes. Gabe Butler, familiar face there at the top of the point standings with 144 points on the season. But I hate to say this, Gael, but one of the surprises of the season and our current, as I said that it changed. I was going to say our current pole sitter, but that Gabe Butler topped him for it currently on the charts. Matt Wagner there kind of in second, only 3 points back. Really having a successful season for the IndyCar veteran, but man, you've got those top 3 kind of just, I don't want to say a breakaway at 11 points and a little bit more, but they're kind of the breakaway, because 4th through 17th, man, that is a slugfest that can change each week. In Gael, we only have 3 races left before the championship, so some of these point standings are huge.
Yeah, no, exactly right. And so you mentioned the switch over on the qualifying results, and we'll pull it up, but it went to the what is it, it went beyond the 1,000th of a second. It's going to go to the 10,000th of a second between Gabe and Matt, it looks like, for that pole position. So, and that's the other thing is, Matt's just been picking it up everywhere on the super speedway side. He's still looking for that elusive first win. I know that's the biggest thing on his mind, is he wants to get a win at the super speedway series, be it here, be it the next gens. He just wants to win. So he hasn't got that yet, but I mean, again, he's putting himself in position week after week. So, and I know when, it's not an if, but when it happens, that's going to be probably one of the most fun interviews we're going to have all season long. So I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see what these guys have. And like I said, it's kind of making sure you don't kind of step on your own toes and keep yourself in that last dash to the playoffs.
Absolutely. It's going to be big, and we're going to be watching all that action here each Thursday night right here on Green White Checker TV. Qualifying is wrapping up. Looks like Gabe Butler going to narrowly get that pole position over Matt Wagner, and we are getting ready to get these drivers gridded up. And as we get that grid going, we're going to see if we can take a look here at your starting lineup for this evening. Starting in first position is going to be Gabe Butler alongside Matt Wagner, showing 0.000 for me. That is huge. But look at third and fourth. They're barely off of that too. Kevin Freeze only 3/1000ths of a second off and going to have to start in third. And Vicente Guerrero only 4/1000ths of a second off. So definitely some big lap times from those top four there. Fifth place, Joshua Hanner there in the 2. Austin Call, a driver that runs with me on Monday nights, Gael, over at SEL. So getting to see one of my rivals and actually teammates getting to jump over here and start in the 6th spot here tonight. Seth Groover, a super aggressive driver there in the 0-2 in 7th. James Moen, 8th. Jim Brooks, 9th. Bud Steele rounding out the top 10. Last week's winner, Brian Wang there in the 11th spot, and Patrick Groover in 12th.
Yeah, so you can see all those guys putting down the qualifying laps, but still a few opting to kind of start a little bit further back, opting not to put that qualifying lap down there. And say we haven't got to those drivers yet, but yeah, you're right though. So you can see you've got Richard Sanchez, Mike Roomkiss right there, Robert Jordan, Josh Lassen finishing up those to put a lap down. Unfortunately, I won't be there tonight. I'm joining the booth here, so it's going to be actually a bonus for Josh and Chris Passini because they're going to have an open pit stall in front and behind them, so that might be a benefit for them. Then you got Robert Rock, Gary Winters, Rudy Doden, Bob Fitzgerald, Todd Siebels, and then rounding out you got Adam Kilday, Edwin Outlaw, Brandon Briggs, and Eric Laurie, our 27th starter. And I believe actually Eric may have fallen out during qualifying and has not rejoined, unfortunately. So Eric might be a little bit of trouble here. Hopefully he gets in late, but might be needing to get some breaks from those lucky dogs possibly here tonight.
Absolutely. And as we see the pace truck rolling off of pit road, we'll see these drivers start going 2 by 2, making their way onto the racing surface here. And Gaio, as we get ready to bring the action here tonight, got to get your final thoughts. How do you think this Atlanta race is going to shape up? The last one we had was pretty interesting, a lot of tight racing. Would you expect more of the same here tonight?
Yeah, I do think we're going to see a lot of tight racing still with all of these trucks. I think strategy shouldn't be too crazy. I believe it should be pretty much a 2-stop race. I was getting about 28 laps or so per tank. Should get these guys easily to that lap 75 mark, of course. Green White Checkers could throw a wrench into some of those plans, but I think the big question mark is going to be tires. Do you take 2? Do you take 4? Because this will be a track that I think does wear those tires out, especially that right front. I think is going to be the one that takes the most abuse again, just because of the surface of this track and the way it's shaped with this 1.5 mile. I think that's going to be, the telltale of who's able to manage their stuff, as we see probably later on the run. Drivers probably start to get a little tighter at the end. So it's going to be fun to see. Like I say, don't expect to see too much surprise up front with Gabe and Kevin leading off the inside row. It's going to be, can Matt maybe get some help from Vicente, see if he can steal a couple laps here right off the bat.
Absolutely. Well, this is a strong top 4. The pace truck is in, and these truckers are getting ready to take the green flag here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. Gabe Butler leads them to the line with Kevin Freeze right there with the push, but Wagner going to try to hold strong on that outside with Vicente Guerrero. This could be a big race starting out here going into turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, you saw that opening. Matt took immediately as soon as it opened. Oh, contact trouble right at the back.
Oh, a big incident already here very early on. Dropping through the field there. Vicente Guerrero.
Yeah, man. Jim Brooks involved as well. I see another one smoking. Oh, Patrick Groover as well. So a couple big hits there right away, right off the kick of the race. So not what they needed, but actually possibly a huge break for Eric Laurie. We have to have you go back and take a look, see what happened there.
Oh, man. It was not. Sorry I was late on clicking the cameras. Just was not expecting that right here early on. But let's see if we can go along with Vicente here and just see what happened. Oh, looks like him and the 2 just kind of touched just a little bit. And as you can see, big contact there. Oh, just straight, nowhere to go.
The 2 and the 14, and then at that point it's just just trying to recover. And yeah, just those, I think those trucks still building up speed. And that's when they're always kind of at their sketchiest, really. But yeah, unfortunate. So yeah, give me a lot of fast pairs burned right off the bat. Jim Brooks is going to need one. Vicente is going to need one. Obviously the 0-1 of Patrick Gruber is going to need one right off the kick as well. So that's a tough way to start for a handful of these guys here. Not what they're looking for sure. But like I mentioned though, I think I saw Eric Laurie rejoin the service, so this could be a huge break for Eric because he's rolling out of pit road now. Might only lose a lap or two instead of multiples. But pretty wild way to start this one.
Absolutely, just a light bump. It kind of looked like, didn't even look like that hard of contact. But man, these trucks here at Atlanta, I've raced them in leagues with the next gens. I know you've been out here in the field with these truckers. Like, these trucks can already get pretty light in the back end, and this new Atlanta, it's good on fresh tires, but after you get about 10 or so laps on it, I mean, the truck really wants to start slipping and sliding around. So does that just show how on edge these truckers are, even with fresh tires, that these things are really wanting to slip? Because we didn't talk about it much, but you know, for this session, the track temp was fairly low here. Not a very hot track temp to start. So maybe these guys just don't have the heat in the tires and heat in the track yet to kind of get that grip they're looking for.
Yeah, that's a good question. Is yeah whether or not yeah if it was a tire temperature thing. I think like I said, I think too, like when these things aren't fully up to speed, they just get a little twitchier kind of right off the kick. So I think they build up a little bit more speed to kind of help their chances out. So not a lot of strategy. You see pretty much all the leaders went ahead and stayed out. I think the first that hit pit road, I'm trying to check timing and scoring, may have been the 2 truck, who had a little bit of that contact. And actually looking at, I'm surprised here. Actually, looks like Jim Brooks did not pit there. He still got the damage he had from lingering. I would have at least manually repaired that 51 truck. So I'm a little nervous about him here, because I feel like that truck's gonna be a little bit more hurt than he possibly realizes it. But yeah, so we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, definitely a big hit for a lot of those guys right off the bat.
And you talk about big hits. Could that be a big hit in the points for Vicente? I mean, he was up there in the point standings, and you know, we saw how tight it was all the way through to 17th. I mean, one big incident like that, he's already lost. What is it now? 3 bonus points for an incident-free race?
Yeah.
And he's got someone like Gabe Butler leading laps already, and all his competitors, you know, they're going to be ahead of him now. I mean, we see that Vicente Guerrero's all the way back in the 23rd position, and Gael, I mean, with his faster pair, if he took that and has already used it up, I don't see where he's going to be running through and trying to get up front anytime soon because of any other possible wrecks that could happen. So definitely could be putting some drivers in a hole pretty early on here. But just to reset it for you here, folks, we're going to restart on lap 5. Gabe Butler is your leader. Kevin Freeze second. Seth Groover third. Matt Wagner fourth. And Brian Wang top 5. We got Seth Groover in the middle of a big Team Boot Knocker sandwich here. But pace truck is off, and we will go back to green here on lap 5. First yellow already out of the way. Some trucks with damage out here in the field. We'll see how it handles as these guys take off into turn 1. And now we don't have Gabe Butler and Kevin Freeze lined up together. So it'll be interesting to see how this one shakes out coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, this is where Matt, I think, needs to just basically push the 88 clear of the 25, try to keep them away from each other if he can. But I say the problem is, look at that 0-2 just shoving right away off the back. And I was looking to see if there's any speed difference from those trucks that maybe have damage or not. And so far, it seems like everybody's hanging on all right with the draft. I think everybody's getting away with it so far. Like I said, I'm really surprised on the 51 truck. It looks like he actually is holding the draft decently. So looks like that may have worked out okay for him. I was nervous about it for sure. But yeah, right now everybody's holding on pretty smoothly here. But like I said, just right now nose to tail of those top 2.
Absolutely. Taking a look at that 51 truck, just kind of center punch there with the fenders on the left and the right, all good. Kind of makes me think as long as he stays tucked in the draft here for a little bit, he should be fine. Maybe a little bit tight as the run goes on, but nothing I don't think that truck can't handle as long as he's got trucks behind him. Now, if he gets to the very tail end of this pack, then I might worry about that, but these truckers kind of taking it a little bit nicer here. We do see Eric Laurie out here. He's going to be racing hard to see if he can have another quick yellow to get his lucky dog back. And definitely some shakers and movers through this pack right now. You can see just keeping our eye kind of mid-pack because it gives us a good view of everything. And, man, these guys are just squirming all over the place, Gael. Just looks like these trucks don't have a lot of grip right now.
Yeah, these always are pretty on edge here at Atlanta. So I have always, especially if I'm tied onto on the truck in front of me, especially the tri-oval, I feel like that's the sketchiest part for me because I'm trying to stay as tight as I can to that truck in front. But then again, you kind of lose what's in front of you, where that yellow and white, where the red and white line is, to try to make sure you hit your marks and everything like that. And so obviously they have that line where you're not supposed to go below the line to advance your position. There's a little bit of leeway, of course, just because of the way this track is. It's a little bit tight at times through that tri-oval. But yeah, there's times you definitely lose your marker on a few of these spots. But every so often you'll see just the 02 gets right to the 25, the 11 gets right to the 88 and gives them a little shot, just try to boost them forward. But right now, though, I'd say even though they're not nose to tail, I think Bootknocker are probably pretty happy with where they're at here as they're controlling both lanes at the moment. And again, with that caution too, probably stretches that fuel mileage out. Maybe look for like lap 30, I'd say, as being the furthest some of those trucks that stayed out can go, and maybe even like 31, 32 for some that pitted. So, as I said, you see Kevin Freeze clears that 88 of Gabe Butler. Apologies. And that's going to allow now the 02 and the 10 of Bud Steele to lock up on that top side. And, Kevin, dangerously close, getting put 3 wide there. Contact.
Oh, we got contact. Big contact there. Brian Wang around. This is a huge wreck, Gael. Flipping end over end. Finally coming to a stop. Brian Wang went for a ride there, and we have our second yellow already.
Yeah, I think unfortunately that's the end of the night for Patrick Gruber because he was involved in the first one. And going back and I'll let you take a look and kind of call and see what happens. And just looks like just a little, maybe either a little bit misjudgment or just a little bit of a mistake possibly where the two trucks get together. And unfortunately, that just sent the 74 around. That right hooks the 22 right in the path of the 01. And yeah, just a lot of difficult and more damage for some of those trucks further in the back.
Absolutely. Let's see if we can go back here and take a look at what happened. I want to stop and rewind here just a minute to see what really kicked this off because it almost looks like this driver just got loose. So let's take a look here. We're watching the 74 of Robert Jordan going to go in the corner. Oh, does Wang move up just a little bit? Yeah, and it was enough for a netcode hit to the 74. That's going to hook Wang right up into that 01. We see the 79 and the 510 of Sanchez just get around on the bottom. But Jim Brooks looking to, does he avoid? No, he gets a big hit by a couple trucks here and just end over end for Wang. I mean, look at that truck. He definitely went for the biggest ride out of all this. And, I mean, just rolling and rolling and rolling. But like you said, a lot of drivers kind of in big problems. But look who was at the back. The strategy, I thought, trying to avoid most of it. Right there, that's that 14 of Vicente Guerrero. As you see, he just stopped and just slowed down for that incident and sat down there and makes it through clean and going to gain a ton of track position back.
Yeah, it was a great call by him. And I believe that's also going to give Eric Laurie one of his 2 laps back, so he's going to be back to just 1 down now. So it's worked out really well for him as well. But the one thing I'm a little surprised about here is not as many drivers pitted as I thought would. You see Kevin Freeze, he's opted to stay out. Same with Bud Steele, Gabe Butler. Usually these guys are pitting every instance they have the opportunity to. But it seems like tonight, maybe just from what they've seen so far in the race, they said, you know what, I don't want to lose this track position because it seems like we've been ahead of these wrecks right off the bat. So let's stay as far up as we can just to play it safe maybe.
I think there's 2 things they're looking at being a former Team Bootknocker driver with them. 1, bonus points. What wins championships is bonus points. And, Gael, you know I love to talk about bonus points. These guys are up here trying to lead laps, and not only that, but I think at 25 is in a battle to try to lead the most laps here tonight because he wants to see if he can come out with the points lead in the regular season with only 3 races left to go. But 2, like you said, they want to stay ahead of the wrecks, and let's face it, if we get another yellow here, I mean, as many caution laps as they're pacing and just shutting these cars off, I'm sure, and just coasting these things, they could probably make it where if they could make it to the halfway point here and we keep getting yellows in the second half of the race, they might make it on just one stop. And I mean, that may sound crazy to think, Gael, but these guys have made some weirder strategies before and made them work to perfection. I could easily see these guys trying to make that happen. But resetting it for you here, folks, as we dive into turn 3, the 25 of Kevin Freeze will lead Bud Steele there in the 10. Gabe Butler in third. Richard Sanchez, mid-pack for that wreck, comes out now in the 4th position. And then we have Mike Rimkus there in the top 5. Pace truck getting ready to pull back in, and we're getting ready to go back underway one more time. Can third time be the charm here to get some long green flag runs in? We're about to find out as these drivers come through the restart zone. Kevin waiting till the very end of it to try to get going here, and man, it creates a great launch. Him and Gabe Butler are going to be clear heading into turn 1.
Yeah, so that worked really well for the two of them. So you look at Bud Steele, it feels like he's just like almost like missed a gear almost the way he's dropped back. I mean, Matt Wagner, he pitted there under that yellow, and he's right now all the way back up into 4th position in a great spot once again. Same goes for, I believe, the 09 Josh Lassen also pitting there. And so I was looking at the numbers. So basically, we're going to be, we restarted here with 62 to go. We talked about the fuel window probably being at least 28 laps that they can make it, and that's when you're going full aggression. But it looks like there's no fuel saving going on right now. The 11, the 09, they're going to try to jump to the top here. But what I was thinking, though, is if someone can maybe stretch 31 laps on a tank, they could maybe try to do that one stopper like we talked about. But those who stayed out, I still think they have no choice, but they're going to have to two-stop it. But I think, like I said, I think the risk reward was they want that track position because they've seen what's been happening behind them so far.
Absolutely, and if this race plays out green to the end, it could be a very unique strategy going on, but it just makes me wonder if these Team Bootknocker guys don't believe that these guys that pitted right there could go on just one more stop, because you would think if they knew they could strategize that, they would have done it. But anywho, we got great action up front. Wagner going to try to see if he could get the lead on the outside lane, getting pushed by that 09 of Josh Laston. Big run here. It took him a while to formulate it, but here they come, and Wagner wants a lap led because he's only 3 points away from the points lead coming into this, and there it is, a lap led. That is a bonus point toward the championship for Matt Wagner, and he's got that Nerf machine out in clean air, running that higher line. But Gael, is it risk versus reward out there? It feels good for a while, but eventually that starts wearing those right sides a little more, doesn't it?
I'm not even worried about the tires. I'm worried about how close these two are squeezing each other. Almost looks like they're trying to side draft one another down the straightaways. And I say that's my risk versus reward right now. And I say got to give a shout out to as well to your boy in the 64 there, Austin Call, worked his way up into the top 5 as he gets close to the O2 entering turn 1. But he's made his way up into that top 5 as well in that 64 truck, and it's kind of where I'd like to be, is right on the inside lane, just saving fuel. But I don't think there's a safe spot on this track right now the way these guys are racing.
Absolutely. You bring up a new racing member here, Austin Call. Got the hookup from Todd Merkel. I know you Area 51 fans know that name well from Merkel Racing Engines. One of his teammates there in the SCL League, running alongside me and another friend of ours. And, you know, Todd brought him over to run on Sundays. Austin's liked it enough that he's given Thursdays a shot. So I know he's going to go back and watch this, so going to give a shout out there to Austin Call there in the 64. Contact. Oh, and it's contact in the lead. It's Wagner.
And he actually hung onto that truck. I'm not sure if there's another incident
The yellow
behind.
is out, but man.
Oh, no, there's big trouble behind.
Oh, big trouble behind. Oh, yes, we see it back here. Don't know who all's involved. There is damage there on the 45 there of Todd Siebels. And I saw another truck there. Seemed like they may have had some damage there. The 41 seemed to have been spun down to the infield. So I don't know if, I think that did start with Matt though. So we may want to.
Oh no, definitely. Yeah, it was the kind of, I think there was contact behind the wreck that kind of then brought them back. Yeah, I think there was contact between the 51 and 74 that kind of got the 74 spun around, and then a little bit further back, they made some more contact back there. So. Yeah, unfortunately, a number of trucks, I would say, almost looked like it could have gone through there, but yeah, more trucks involved as well. So
we're going to have to stop and rewind this just a moment. I know trucks are pitting, but we know that's probably just for a fuel number here. So we're going to see what we can see from the front, see if we can get a good camera angle. Big push from Josh Laston and Seth Groover there behind. Does Wagner just come down and not clear?
It was really tight. It's one of those ones where do you trust your spotter enough to do it? Or at the same time, too, maybe he was clear for that split second, and then Kevin Freeze got that little extra shove from Gabe Butler, and that may have been where the contact came from. But of course, also you look as they were entering turn 3 when the contact happened. So obviously the inside line's got that shorter distance, so that hole may have just closed too soon. That for Matt to realize that he did a great job hanging onto that truck. Just unfortunately, the accordion behind kind of got the worst of a couple trucks there. So
yeah, we need to see what happened here, because there's a big pile up there, but I don't think that had any of Wagner's doing involved in it. Just trying to
I think it was just that accordion. Like, you know how if there's a stack up and then it just kind of gets worse and worse the further you go. And and unfortunately, I think that's what we wound up seeing.
Couldn't quite catch that, but I guess it's just a stack up from it. So we're going to go back live here since pit stops have ended and try to reset all this for you here, because I'm gonna call it how I see it. It's been a wreck fest out here tonight.
Yeah, I say the full moon thing hasn't gone away, it seems like. So I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's just because they know that it's about playoff time. Everything's starting to kick off, and so the aggression's ramping up. I'm not sure. But we talked about someone's cruising in the back to try to stay out of trouble. He decided, you know what? It's time to get up front, though. Look at that 14, Vicente Guerrero. Now he's going to restart on the outside of the front row here. So some strategy calls being played by he and James Mohan, going to be in the top 2 here. Pitting 11 laps ago. Everybody else there went ahead and pitted, though. You see also a handful of drivers also topping off here on that 1 to go. And like I said, we talked about the numbers here. I think this puts them in that one-stop strategy now without any troubles, because we're going to restart with 53 to go. Should be easily good to make it on one stop here to the end of the race. But now it's just a question of if we get that under green or not.
Absolutely. I mean, if you're these drivers, I don't know where you want to be. Do you want to pit and have the fuel and just hang out at the back, or do you want to be up front? It seems like the wrecks are in both areas right now. So treacherous night here at Atlanta Motor Speedway. But, man, putting on a great show as we reset it for you here. It is James Mohan there in the first spot. Vicente Guerrero recovering back to second. Austin Call just staying right there. It says third, but it's because he got ahead on that outside lane. Seth Groover actually in third position, and Austin Call in the 4th spot. Josh Laston will round out your top 5. And Kevin Freeze there in 6th. Pace truck pulls off as we get ready to get it back underway. Coming through the restart zone with a different set of leaders this time. The green is out, and both lanes get a great jump, Gael, and neither one really have the help they need right now. So I don't know which lane's going to prevail, but I know behind him Kevin Freeze is really trying to get on Josh Laston there in the 09, but Seth Groover comes and just sucks right up to James Mohan to give him the push through 1 and 2.
Yeah, so it's a great setup. But looking now, everybody's trying to figure out where they want to move. And look at the O2. He's going to jump to the outside of that.
Big aggressive move. Lead. Absolutely a big move there by the O2 of Seth Groover and getting in front of Vicente. These guys up front are acting like we haven't had a yellow all night, Gael.
Yeah, it's like they forgot what happened here earlier, and yeah, they're going full tilt at it right now. As we still got 52 to go. We haven't even hit the third of this race yet. So yeah, like I said, they're racing like it's 5 to go, not 52 to go. We're gonna go 3 wide. It looks like possibly.
That is 3 wide there. Gabe Butler putting it on the rookie Austin Call. Austin Call stuck in between a Team Bootknocker sandwich. He's the cream in the Oreo cookie for that one, but holding his own there. Really trying to stay in it and show that he belongs up in the front of this pack. So very nice to see a rookie holding such a smooth line, especially for a young age as that driver is. But, man, he's up there with the best of them, Gael. He's up there with Area 51's finest. I don't get to watch a lot of Sunday nights, but I'm telling you right now, I know the names in this truck series, and I see him race a ton of other leagues. He is up there in elite company, racing right there with them.
Yeah, I like I said, I don't know what's going on. Like I said, I think whatever happened at Daytona, it's carried over here to Atlanta because these guys are just still
Oh,
going.
contact with
Oh,
Kevin Freeze, knocked up into the wall, but Kevin trying to run 3 wide, and maybe that was just a bit too optimistic here at the start.
yeah. So we'll have to see where if it was just a little bit of contact on the entry there, and so try and take. I'm gonna go back and take a look.
I'd be curious if that gave him an incident point toward the championship. It definitely gave him some right front damage. Oh, and we got even more going on. Seth Groover up into the wall and big contact with the pack. A big one, a melee here in turns 1 and 2, and we are under the yellow yet again. Big names taken out in this one. Austin Call involved. I don't know who to say was involved. There was tons of trucks involved in that one. Seth Groover, though, is where it all started for us here, Gael. And here in just a moment, I'll try to look this up.
Yeah, it's a big one once again.
Oh, man. Let's see if we can go back and take a look. Every time I think I've scrolled to the last yellow, we're under one yet again. And this one, right there with that front pack, they were racing really hard. Let's see if we can see what happened. Oh, we're catching it right here at the end. We're going to have to rewind just a little bit and see if it was just a bump gone wrong. Let's see if we can get a better camera view here. Right there, got Vicente with him. Oh, Josh Laston looks like he just gets loose underneath and knocks Seth up into the wall. And from there, oh, Vicente's going to get a piece of this after taking the fast repair. Austin Call gets punted by the 2. And then it's just a melee behind him. Brian Wang, is he going to get in his second incident? Yes. Back of that truck kicked and just right into Vicente and up into the wall. Some of these guys may be going for just a lucky spin. No, some of them are still touching. Eric Laurie with a big hit. Man, and look at Robert Jordan back there in the back. We might actually have to go back and look at that because that actually looks pretty cool. I think he locked the brakes up trying to avoid them and didn't hit anyone.
Yeah, I mean, and look at what you can see there, all that smoke. I mean, you can barely even see him in this mess.
You've got to watch this right here. Let's see if we can get a good camera view of this. Actually, we're going to go to the roof cam here. No, roof cam don't look good. I don't like that. Here, we'll go to this view right here. And just watch him just lock this thing up trying to avoid it. There's the big melee up in front, and you just see he's in a 4-wheel drift, and he's just going to slide his way right here. But he's not going to run into it like everybody else. Just a big lock up there. But, man, that could just save his race.
Yeah, that was a good job. And that's the thing. Sometimes you just got to come to a stop in those ones, and that was exactly what he did. Looks like everybody went ahead and hit pit road here under this time, and now I mean, who's got what left? I mean, I'm seeing some lengthy pit stops still. The 14, the 22, still on pit road. The 51, I think, still getting service done to his truck. Actually, he's rolling out now, I believe. This has been an attrition-filled one right off the bat, Maxwell. Like I said, I thought it was wild at Daytona, and they're right on par here again. I don't know what these guys are up to tonight. So it's just been ramped up.
And now the question is, how many people are just fixing damage, knowing more wrecks could ensue, and how many people actually still have a fast repair left? I know we've got quite a few that are probably in some big trouble here. But we do have a couple of retirements, Gael, if you do want to go through that list for us and kind of get us reset on who's still in the race and who's not.
Yeah, take a look. And we know, obviously, Patrick Gruber is out of this one. Still sitting on pit road, though, the 12, the 22, the 14. I think they're still in this, though. So I think right now it may still be just Patrick Gruber that's retired early. I think that I know you've been having some timing and scoring issues lately. So we'll have to double check on that one. But I'll say we'll see what's going on with all of that. But yeah, we're getting back to the Maxwell. 45 to go, still one stop to the end. We'll see these guys settle in a little bit.
Absolutely. We'll see. We'll reset it for you here. Gabe Butler back to the point in all the mayhem. Don't know if that's the safe place to be or not, but he does have a teammate behind him there. James Moen still running up front in the 7th spot. Josh Laston up 13 positions there in 3rd. Richard Sanchez up 9 and 4th, and Matt Wagner rounding out your top 5 with Brandon Briggs, your biggest mover, up 20 positions in that 63. Going to see what he can make happen as we get ready. The pace truck is pulling off. We're getting ready to go back to green, and there are a lot of trucks that came under that caution with 1 to go to top off. But the green is out, and we see Gabe going to turn down low in that D-shaped oval and try to make sure he gets clear before getting into turn 1. But man, I don't know if we'll see any sign of this stuff slowing down soon until we got all these trucks with wrinkled fenders. But Kevin Freeze wasting no time in the back, trying to look 3 wide again. The same move that kind of got him in trouble on the last restart, Gael.
Yeah, it's same story, different verse, if you will. Just so much aggression going on still. But it looks like they're up front. They've kind of gathered back up a little bit, but right now we're back to just the 2x2 like we're used to seeing. I expect to see a 3 wide, just not yet in this one. But we'll have to kind of keep an eye and see. But yeah, right now though, Gabe's feeling good because he's got the 510. Rick Sanchez behind him. Rick actually winning the next gen race earlier this week on Sunday night with a really, really good move coming on the last lap, coming through the backstretch into turn 3 to snag that win there. So a really good job by him. So yeah, Gabe probably feeling very comfortable having that 510 right behind him.
Absolutely a great teammate there in Richard Sanchez. Know he's going to be dedicated to you for a while, but look at this top line. We see some pretty aggressive drivers there, 3 of them grouped up, and they're starting to make their way toward the front. We've got James Moen, James Moen, and the 2 of Joshua Hanner moving up there with Kevin Freeze, and they are starting to slowly but surely pick their way up to the front of this. And those 3, they're very aggressive drivers. The 7 always wanting to be up front. The 2 always giving big pushes in the 25. Well, everybody knows how your defending series champion likes to race here. So definitely aggression moving up. And now they're getting side by side with our leader to see if they can change up the lead. But we've also got a tale of 2 packs going on here, Gael.
Yep. I was going to say, yeah, we kind of split up here. You've got those top 8 or so. Mike Rimkus is just on the outside looking in, trying to catch back up to those guys, I believe it is. And then you've got that gap back to, I believe that's going to be, who's that? Bud Steele, if I'm sorry, not Mike Rimkus. I'm looking at the wrong truck there. Bob Fitzgerald's kind of in the middle, if you will, of between those 2 packs. And then, yeah, you drop back to Bud Steele and Robert Jordan there. You mentioned Robert making that really good save earlier. But then, yeah, you go back and you talk about the driver that's gained the most spots right now, that's 63, or Brandon Briggs. I like what Brandon moves right now. He's in the main pack, but he's just cruising in the inside line, and I've talked to them plenty before the races and after. He just tries to keep that truck in one piece, keep it clean, and that way he has something to go for it towards the end. And it's one of the things, it's like we've talked about before, he hasn't had the luck yet. But, I mean, if he can keep putting himself in position in these races, you just never know. That could be where that top 5, the podium, or even the wins come from. So I like what he's doing right here, just, kind of taking it cool and calm. I was listening to him on the race chatter, too. I was mentioning to Bud, I think he and Bud had a close call earlier. Apologized, like, hey, he wasn't trying to do anything to you. And he mentioned just trying to keep that truck clean. So really like what I'm seeing out of that 63 as well.
Absolutely. We have the onboard shot here with Brandon Briggs. And you folks at home may be wondering why we're showing it. Well, as we went to it, you could see the 7 up front get real big loose. And now you see their momentum starting to fall back a little bit, just showing how hard it is to actually make laps around this Atlanta Motor Speedway since the repave. A lot of times we think repaves have grip, but a lot of times they are actually slick the first couple of years you run on it. You see just how much movement these trucks have and just the big moments they have in these things trying to counter steer and keep these things going straight.
Yeah, and it's also, again, it feels like everything is ramped up. I mean, you feel like you're just right up against the truck to the side of you. You're right up against the wall. And then if you're locked on behind somebody like these trucks are from about 3rd, 4th on back, you really don't have a lot of field of view like you were able to see on that onboard. I mean, again, Brandon's giving Matt there about maybe half a truck length gap. But, I mean, when you start to tuck on like the 510, the 88 are, you're pretty much driving blind. All you're seeing is that rear decklet, that rear spoiler of that truck, and that's about all you're really seeing most of the time. So you really rely on that truck in front of you to kind of lead you where you want to be yourself.
Absolutely, and we see that the 2 packs have merged into one. The back of this pack kind of broken up a little bit, but they have come back together. So where there's big energy here at Atlanta. There could be some big carnage still, but completing lap 40 of 75, and these guys, or lap 39, I'm sorry, of 75, and on lap 40 now, and they are just 2x2 up front, and a lot of these guys that have been in the big wrecks have just raced their way right back up front like nothing happened. So definitely passing is something that's easily able to be achieved here. Being aggressive is something we can see can happen quite a bit. And up front, we are still side by side. We see the 7 and the 2 have recovered and made their way back up to try to challenge for this lead. But you see that 2 really shaking through that D-shaped oval, trying to make sure he can stay locked onto that 7 truck and give the big push he needs.
Yeah, that's exactly. He's trying to stay with the 7, and you try to stay exactly where they are, and so sometimes you make those little extra moves to try to kind of stay lined up, and it's the nature of the beast at these tracks. I've been doing the same as well, especially in practice. But the other storyline we got to come back up to is that 071 Eric Rory mentioned he missed the initial start of the race. He fell out, came back in 2 down. He is back on the lead lap inside the top 10 there. He's got the 02 right behind him. So great job by Eric sticking with it. But you see that 02, that Yoshi truck peeking to his outside, thinking about that 3rd lane. So I'm sure Eric not feeling the most confident about that move yet, wanting to kind of just kind of keep it calm, keep it cool for now. But yeah, right now, I'd say some of these drivers also, there have been a couple split packs here.
Oh, we just had a big moment up front. Joshua Hanner trying to clear down, and it was tight. Was you able to see that guy out? Because it was crazy. As we see the 0-2 still trying to make moves. Austin Call returning to the track after some big damage in his accident. But, man, we almost had our next yellow when that 2 came down.
Yeah, and I believe that was him trying to get lined up with his teammate there in the 09. Those 2 are teammates in the closed circuit racing. The 2 in the 09 in the race here tied with one another. So I think, and that I was going to say, the pit window isn't too far away from opening here, Max. Remember, I mentioned about 28 laps of fuel should be about the distance you need to make it on a stop. So these guys could realistically pit in about.
Oh, but there's going to be a yellow. The 7 of James Moen in the 2. Big hit into the wall, up into Bud Steele. That might be Bud's 2nd incident here tonight.
Bud,
and the 74 locking him up again to avoid that. But we do have our next yellow here. And it was right as we were riding with that 20 of Joshua Hanner. But the big problem started right there with the 7. Going to have to see if we can dig this one back up. And we're under our 5th yellow on lap 45 of 75.
Yeah, and I think you'll see just unfortunate. It's something we haven't talked about really tonight, but it's one of those things that does happen a lot. And it's just unfortunate it's the bump.
Oh, the 09 had got loose.
Well, no, it's actually before all that. There's out of turn 2, the 25 and the 7 just make a little bit, try to push them to help them out, but just was not quite centered, and that's what shot the 7 into the 2. And then from there it's that accordion effect that we talk about.
Let's see if we can reverse and see exactly what happened here. Oh, our yellow flag came out really late, didn't it? Let's see if we can go back on board now with the 7. And see if we can see exactly what happened here. Sorry about that, folks. We'll see what we can't do here to see if you see all the action. So we see the 25 tucked up real tight on the 7 and right on that quarter panel. I don't like the way that looks, Gael. That's a little bit sketchy. And right there starts with the 25 giving a tap to him. Tries to correct it, but it's going to bring him up into the wall, and he taps the 2. Going to wreck them both. And then from there, it's just carnage. Let's see who gets involved. It's the 2 and the 7 so far. And as they come down the track, Seth Groover just missed it. But the 09 almost had it cleared. I hate those wrecks, Gaio, where you think you've got it cleared and you barely get tapped. But he goes for a big slide. And I don't remember. And 10, obviously, back there with Bud Steele. We saw that earlier with the big hit to the 2. But that 09, that's save of the race right there. Did you see that slide?
That was a big save by Josh Last, and I mean you can see all the smoke coming off the tires.
We're gonna give credit where credit's due, right here. We're gonna see if we can ride on board and just see what he went through here. Watch this big save. Look at that handiwork on the wheel, just straightens it up. Travis Pastrana right there, big save, big driver there. Gonna keep him in the race with just a little bit of damage. I think that can be repaired. as we
Yeah,
go
I
back
think that'll be
live here.
all
We'll
right.
see some of these guys sitting on pit road, but we have Richard Sanchez marked as your race leader currently, with Kevin Freeze second and Gabe Butler third. So 5th caution of the race already, and now we're taking the 1 to go here.
And this is Kevin Freeze's favorite part of the race here now, Maxwell, because we're going to restart with 28 to go. I mentioned fuel window, probably about 28 laps. These guys should be able to make it to the end, but it's going to be very, very close on fuel for all of them. A few drivers topping off. It looks like I think Robert Rock on pit road as well as Todd Siebels. I think they're just getting that little extra splash. Saw a few trucks take the wave around there to get back onto the lead lap, I believe, or at least get one of their laps back. So we'll see how that comes into play. But yeah, I mean, look at the top 4 right now. You've got Bootmacher locked out the front 2 rows here, the 510, the 25, the 88, and the 071. That's what they want to see here, is to try to keep these guys all locked on together. Also, you mentioned some recoveries. I mean, obviously Jim Brooks being involved in numerous incidents. He's back into the mix here. So yeah, so still a lot of time to go here. And we mentioned incident-free races, Maxwell. Right now, Gabe Butler and Robert Rock are the only drivers left that have an incident-free truck in this race.
That is insane, and we've still got tons of racing left to go. And, you know, as much as I think some of these guys might try to play the fuel game, I think they're going to bank on another yellow, and I think we're going to see these guys go all out to the end, taking the risk that we have another yellow. And we're about to see if that happens or not as the pace truck pulls back in. Some short yellows here tonight. The field in the hands of Richard Sanchez as he brings them to green, but it looks like some team strategy here as the 25 is easily going to get the big run up top and is going to try to clear down, or did the 5... I don't know what happened there, Gael. That was interesting to watch.
Not the best restart possible. Yeah, it's a little odd there, but I thought maybe they'd try to get lined up, and then I was thinking, well, that'd leave Eric Laurie out to dry. So, yeah, so that's actually let the inside propel back ahead after the 25 just got separated from the 071. However, I think Kevin backed up to get to Eric there before anybody else had a chance to clear. So, you watch for, does Jim Brooks, does he maybe try to jump up top and lead the outside line? I really don't think he will. I think he's just want to try to find a safe little pocket here. So we'll have to keep an eye and see. But right now, it looks like everything's kind of status quo at the moment. Matt Wagner, however, I think he might have other plans. And yeah, there he goes.
Absolutely. Matt Wagner trying to get back to the front. He's had so much fun this season. Gael told us tons about it. We know he's having a blast and having his most success that I've ever seen him have in super speedway racing. Anytime I ran with him, he was always spinning or in the wall. Now he's second in points, duking it out with Gabe Butler for the points lead. And only, 3 points off of that lead, 3 or 4? So, I mean, right there with him, and you can tell he knows it. He wants to get ahead of that 88 so bad. But he has no help up top here right now. The 25 of Freeze not close enough to make any momentum with him. But that ain't going to stop Wagner from staying up there and being on offense instead of defense.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is that's not Matt Wagner. Matt Wagner's not a defensive driver. He wants to be on the aggressive. He wants to push and try to get these wins. And so that's exactly what he's going to be doing. And as saying, there you go, though. Kevin Freeze, he rolled back there and he stayed back, and that opened up these two again, the 09, the 11. They're going to get hooked back up together. We saw them make some good gains earlier in this race, so now watch them. Once they get locked on together, they'll probably start to charge back to the front. As even look at the 02 trying to peek to the outside there. Seth Gruber is looking at that third lane of Kevin Freeze. I'm almost wondering, Kevin seems like he's backing it down a little bit, and yeah, we're going 3 wide here.
Absolutely. The 02, we've seen the impatience here since he had a couple of those earlier wrecks. It's like he's checkers and records right now with 24 laps remaining in this race. He is flying up through the field. He's got Brian Wang on the back. Oh, and Kevin Freeze gets tagged, and he's going to get turned into the field. Another big wreck here. I don't know how much damage he has, but it looks like we're staying green.
Yeah, everybody's kept it straight, so I think we stay green. But, well, I'll say...
We do have to go back really quick and try to see what happened here, because that should have been a yellow. We'll watch it at full speed here. Oh, the 79 just gets up into him, and no touch for Kevin Freeze. What a big race there to not have any damage, but lost all his track position. We'll go back live here with 23 to go, though. Richard Sanchez still leading the front pack, and we've got Gabe Butler there, Matt Wagner, Josh Laston, Jim Brooks, Seth Groover, so many aggressive drivers. Brandon Briggs, you talked about him earlier. He is still tagged on to the lead draft. And the 510! He goes for a spin. He gets loose and saves it. This track is eating drivers up tonight. Front of the pack, mid-pack, back of the pack. Doesn't matter where you are, it's tearing them up tonight here, Gaio.
Yeah, but a huge save by that 510. And again, it was just slightly off-centered push. Gabe, and it's from the best of them, Gabe Butler. I mean, you know Gabe is going to be able to try to help his teammate and push him as best he can. Just a little mistake, but man, you're right though. This track is just, I don't know what it is tonight, but if it's the track, the trucks, the combo, the drivers, everybody is fired up tonight. And that's allowed now the 11 and the 09 to get to the front. We saw them hook up early on the top side. They took advantage of that little miscue. Now they lead 1-2.
Absolutely, and I don't think Matt Wagner has enough time to try to get the most laps led award here tonight. I don't have that information in front of me, but you would know more than me, probably, Gael, on what that counter is looking like. But if he could lead these next 20 laps, it would put him fairly close, I think. We've had a lot of swaps for the lead here tonight, but Matt Wagner definitely trying to be on the offense, trying to finish ahead of Gabe Butler, and I believe there's some bonus points there for winning a race. So definitely trying to put the sails in the wind and see if he can't go off into the sunset and get this one tonight here at Atlanta. And correct me if I'm wrong, but if Matt Wagner were to win here tonight, unless I've missed something, this would be his first ever career Super Speedway win, would it not?
I believe so, and I'm definitely not going to make any comments about that because I definitely do not want to do any sort of commentator's curse. But I said I'm trying to look at to see, like, again, this is all based on going green to the end. I'm looking at trying to see, like, okay, who might work with one another. Matt Wagner, Josh Lassen, I don't see them staying apart from each other. I think they're locked on to the end. Gabe Butler, we know he's going to try to work with Eric Laurie, who's still in this pack. Richard Sanchez as well. That's a no-brainer as well. And actually, the 22 somehow he's 16 down. He's still got damage, but he's still sticking with this one as well. So definitely props to Brian Wing for hanging this one out. The 02, I feel like he's kind of a dark horse. I'm not sure who he would go with. Same thing with Brandon Briggs. And then Jim Brooks, same thing. I don't know where Jim would want to go either. I could see him working with any of those guys, but here we go, though. Gabe Butler, he got help from the 02. Here he comes.
Absolutely. He's not content. He knows there's a points battle on the line. He's trying to work with one of the aggressive pushers, but, you know, other than Seth, Gabe doesn't have a whole lot of friends up there either. There's a lot of guys trying to gun it after Gabe Butler and try to take advantage of him being without the teammates here for a bit. But Sanchez, got to have a shout out to him. He has recovered and stayed in that lead draft. And that kind of surprises me with as big of a slot as he went for. So he's not out of it yet. He's got to try to get up here. But Seth has been known to make some big pushes. But Seth has also been in a couple incidents here tonight. Don't know how comfortable Gabe Butler's got to feel here with still 16 laps to go.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I have a memory of the 88 truck coming to my outside at Atlanta with, I believe, 1 or 2 to go and kind of setting sail for the win. So, yeah, Matt can't sit comfortably right now with Gabe to his outside. Right now, there's not a huge established preferred line on either side, but what we do have those, the way the field is spread out. So you have this main pack here. You've got about, I believe it is 8 trucks in this lead pack that are on the lead lap from Matt and Gabe back to Eric Laurie. Then you got to go back about 7 seconds or so to Mike Rimkus, kind of off on his own, unfortunately. And then he's about to get swallowed up. And the next pack, as actually the 08 catches the apron. He's going to keep it pointed straight. Another save by Robert, not Robert Ruck. I'm sorry. I'm trying to look at stuff as it's going on. Robert Jordan, apologies. They're trying to get settled back in now. As they just lost a lot of their separation. So there's so much going on right now. It's tough to keep up with these 2 different packs.
Absolutely, and this has to be one of, if not the longest green flag run we have been on in the race so far. And just watch these trucks darting and moving around. Really, the bottom lane too, shifting up almost a half lane throughout the corner. Don't think these drivers are getting tight, but I think they're afraid to put Will in it, as we do see the 88 of Gabe Butler take the lead, but it may not be for long. Wang right there on the back of the 02 of Seth Groover. And going to see if he can't move Groover up to the front. Seth has been in how many wrecks tonight, and he's up here yet again battling for the lead. How strong is that truck?
That's just persistence too. I mean, I think maybe saving that fast repair for the right times. That truck looks pretty clean. But I gotta say, I don't know how the 22 is able to hold on to the draft and be as good as he is with that nose pushed in, the rear end pushed in a little bit. But we do have those. You've got Boot Knocker lined up in that outside groove, though, the 22, the 510, and the 071. Whereas Gabe's kind of controlling the inside line. So right now, I'll say it's kind of, he's got it settled between himself and the 02. But again, I mean, we still got 12 to go, and we've seen the third lane happen. I wouldn't be surprised to see it again. But the one I'm watching, I'm seeing the big picture right at the back of that pack, that 63 of Brandon Briggs. I'll say I love what he's doing, because that's what he's been telling me all the time is, I want to get to the end of these races. I want to have my truck clean and ready to go at the end. And that's exactly what he's doing right now, is he's in the hunt here. And I mean, again, we still just outside 10 to go, but he's in the running. If something happens, he can gain a few more spots, but right now solidly in that top 10.
Absolutely, and as we get ready to come toward 10 laps to go and we get the race for the finish underway, Gael, one thing we need to clarify, because I guess I've never asked this, and I think I know the answer, but it could have changed. This red line, red and white line that I see these drivers dipping the left sides under, especially on the front stretch, that is an out-of-bounds line, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Yeah. I mean, there's definitely leeway. I mean, they can kind of use it a little bit to make sure that they're not kind of drifting up and making contact with that truck to the outside of them, those situations. However, yeah, if you see someone just make a big, like, let's say Matt Wagner just cuts way left through the dog leg and jumps under the 88, yeah, that would be a passing below the yellow line situation. So they're aware of that. It was brought up over the pre-race, so they know that that's out of bounds, like Daytona Talladega with the yellow line. But obviously the tri-ovals, they give a little bit of flexibility there, just because of the way that it gives the drivers a little bit more room through the tri-oval to make sure they don't kind of run into each other side to side. Because that dog leg, I mean, it looks nice and smooth from the outside, but when you're in that truck, it just looks like two sharp 45-degree angles just waiting to eat you.
Absolutely. It's crazy, and that dog leg could be an advantage. So now that we know you got to stay above it, what is in the mind of Matt Wagner here with just 8 laps to go here? You know he's not content just riding, as Seth is trying to clear the 88. Not quite successful yet, still working at it, but you know Wagner is not going to want to stay content behind there. He's going to make a move whether trucks are around him or not. So if you're Wagner, what do you think the move is you make? And if you're Butler, how do you keep him behind you and make him push?
Yeah, and I think for Gabe, he's just got to treat that line, that yellow, that white and red line, like it's his best friend. Pretty much just live on it. Make sure Matt can't sneak underneath you and force you in the middle of a 3 wide. And then for the pushing side, I think there's not much he can do. I mean, he could try to drag his brake a little bit to the back of the 11 truck to see if he can get a little bit extra help. But yeah, it's when you're pinned on the inside, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. So I'm not sure what the right strategy is. Like I said, I've been there myself, and there's times where it's like, well, I want the inside because there's more wreck avoidance that way. But usually it seems like in these trucks and super speedway in general, that second, or on bigger tracks, the third lane, that's where you get that big push and the big momentum off the exit to get these wins. So, and like I said, right now, the question mark also, that 22 Brian Wang, again, he's not in it for the win here, but he's definitely playing a big role in helping that 02. And actually, look at this. He's going to jump up.
He heard you talking, Gael.
He said, you know what? I'm going to let these guys race it out. So that's actually a really respectful move there by Brian. Shout out to him for doing that.
Well, he's going to pull completely off.
On pit road. He maybe had to hit pit road, actually.
Wow, that's one way to bail out and hit pit road. He probably was banking on some yellows. And that brings us to the point. Is there anybody that's going to be close up here?
I think they're all going to be close in the field, because that was about 28 laps for him. So I hear people chatting in here. I'm going to see if they're going to hit pit road or not, because we're down to 4 to go. We'll see if anybody ducks off. I think they're just trying to get the lap traffic taken care of there. So you're right that now is this a fuel question for some of these guys, but now, like I said, you still got the boot knockers lined up.
You can't pit now, can you?
Oh no, if you have the fuel, even if you're close, you run to the end. You don't. I think you do not. You either hope for a yellow or you coast it.
And is there anybody you remember in this front pack? I feel like I'm playing 20 questions, but that did not. Or that did stop with the 1 to go there. I mean,
no, nobody topped out. Everybody pit on the same lap. Everybody here is in the exact same scenario. So now,
Brandon Briggs up in the wall. Wow, that might cost him the draft.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say it might cost him the draft. Hopefully, he can pull back up to it. It just depends on how hard these guys fight. But and again, this could be a blessing in disguise if these guys get a little bit too dicey. Maybe that gives him an opportunity to either avoid the wreck or steal a couple spots at the end. We'll see, because we're down to Maxwell 3 to go here. right now, again, Gabe still got the 11 pin behind him, doesn't have really anywhere to go here. At
Sanchez
some
trying
point,
to look under Seth, but Seth puts the block on him. Sorry to interrupt, but man, look at Sanchez looking at all kinds of ways to peak. I don't think that's just for truck cooling. I think that's him trying to find a way to get around without losing momentum. But it is 2 laps to go here as these drivers head off into turn 1. It's about to get dicey. Do they make it back to the line clean, Gael?
that's the question. Yeah, and we haven't even talked about the second pack. We don't know what they're doing, but Matt's going to have to make some sort of a move to try to squeeze between the 88 and the 02, or sneak between himself and the bottom line. So, um, I'm I'm listening to the drivers. The 02 says he's short by a quarter of a lap of fuel, so he may not make it. This could open up for Matt Wagner's. We're going to get one to go, Maxwell.
This could be huge. White flag is out here at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. We'll bring you the action all the way to the end here. It's going to finish under green. The 88 and the 02 side by side. A lap truck in the way. They're going to split him maybe. No, Groover's going to get stuck behind him. It's not good. Wagner gets to the outside. Richard Sanchez, will he go with Wagner? He does. We got the lapper in the wall. Who's going to make it to the line? Who has enough fuel? It's going to be close. It's going to be Gabe Butler with the win over Matt Wagner. Josh last in third, and Sanchez in the wall last minute into Jim Brooks. Big incident. That could be an X limit if those drivers did not have one already. So I think they did, but man, what a race.
And Gabe Butler just keyed up that he is out of fuel now after crossing the start-finish line. Maybe had an extra set of turns of fuel left. You can see him coasting in the infield. Oh, my goodness. What a challenge. What a move by Matt. He went for the win, had a great move there, just didn't quite pan out. But Gabe running the fuel mileage to absolute perfection here tonight. I've said it before, he can win in so many different ways. Just outright pace, pit strategy, fuel mileage, and I mean, yeah, this is why he is so tough to beat. And I know Matt's gonna be just heartbroken at this one, having such a good chance at it, but that was a really, really great effort by he and Josh last, and Josh getting a top 3 for himself as well. And then yeah, Richard getting the 4th spot, Jim Brooks coming back from all his incidents early on to top 5, and Eric Laurie missing the start, 2 laps down, coming back to the 6th spot. Just great job by a lot of storylines tonight.
Absolutely. What an interesting turn of events here tonight. This race was nothing short of action-packed, but now is the greatest time of any to try to talk to our top 3 here. Do we have our 3rd place finisher here, Gael?
We do indeed. So we're going to pull up that number 09 of Josh Lassen. Josh was pretty dedicated to Matt, trying to see if they could probably get a 1-2. And I mean, Josh, I think probably the storyline of tonight was you guys kind of got pinned to the inside there towards the end, but I don't know if that was by choice for fuel mileage, if it was just that's how it ended up. But I mean, it was a wild one tonight. We were joking at Daytona last 2 weeks ago that it was pretty much a full moon possibly, but it's kind of carried over here to Atlanta. It was wild and crazy all night long. Still drivers talking about it post race, it sounds like. I mean, how wild was it for you behind the truck? And then take us through the moves at the end there to try to get that win.
Honestly, it was nothing more than finally get Matt the win. And I would have been a whole lot more effective. We ended up letting people in front of us because we both sputtered as we crossed the line, pretty much. But it was wait for 2 to go and then make a move, but the outside line was still there. And I had a damaged truck because I just fixed repairs rather than taking the fast repair. So it was nothing more than just get Matt a win, and I failed. I failed him.
Man, I wouldn't say you failed too much, though. Stayed in it all night long. Action-packed night. I mean, were you surprised at the aggression and the amount of wrecks we had there tonight? I mean, before halfway, we were running our 5th yellow there. So tell us how you kind of managed to get the truck. I mean, you might have gotten an incident or 2, but, man, you managed to get out in 3rd. Like, what did it take here tonight to get that?
Patience. That's really all it was, is unless you were in the front 2 rows, you had to give people space to be able to run their line, especially on the front stretch. It's treacherous knowing where people are going, and it really just comes down to making sure you've got enough time to react, because there were a few times that I should have been wearing my brown pants today, but it just, yeah, just be patient and try to make your way through when you can.
I say one thing we got to mention too, Maxwell. We obviously mentioned it during the broadcast though, but the say it's never the way you want to have to make a save when it comes from contact from your teammate. But that save you made when you got hit on the side there, and then pretty much had to go full opposite lock to hang on to that truck. I mean, you talk about the brown pants moment. I'm going to guess that was probably one of the biggest ones of that. I
Well,
mean,
that and when
yeah.
Seth was side drafting hard, I don't even know what happened there. I'm trying to find that one. But yeah, that slide, that is a replay I'm saving just for that.
Absolutely. Well, hey, you had a great run here tonight. Did a great job. Almost got Wags the win, but like you said, you both just kind of fell a little short, but it came to fuel at the end. So before we let you go, we want to give you the floor for any thanks and shout outs that you have for this third place finish here at Atlanta Motor Speedway.
Honestly, most I've got is thanks to the admins for putting on a great place to race every week, and you guys up in the booth for giving me something to watch on Friday mornings.
It's gonna be a fun one to watch. I'll say it was like so you'll see the craziness that we got to be a part of tonight. I know you got to feel it firsthand, but you'll see from the outside view for sure. But yeah, I mean, it's great to get an interview with you, Josh. So you guys have been doing really well. I was definitely bummed to see some of your guys not making it to the end. Definitely miss Piscini being there tonight as well. But when you guys are full force, it's definitely gonna be fun to see you going after these guys.
Yeah, that and we have Matt that's an adjunct closed circuit driver now, so we've got enough numbers to make it work. But thank you, gentlemen. I look forward to tomorrow watching.
All right. Thank you, Josh. That is our third place finisher here tonight. And now we've got to move on to a interesting interview here and see if we can pick up our second place finisher with Matt Wagner. Matt, you almost had it, buddy. Running so strong here tonight, coming in on the cuffs of the points lead, and had some interesting parts of the race. Running up front and going for a big slide early to recover and get second. Kind of walk us through your night here. Tell us about it.
Well, first off, my spotter said I was clear, and I came down and I was turned. So apparently I started using the iRacing spotter again, so it kind of screwed me there, and then I ended up spinning myself, and that kind of sucked. And we started in the back and started to make our way forward, and then another big wreck happened, and it kind of thinned the herd out a little bit, and then toward the end of the race, I was in big fuel save mode. Say if I don't let Gabe by, I'm gonna run out. So as soon as I took the checkered flag, my fuel gauge just went kaput, like nothing. There was nothing in there. So the leading those laps really kind of hurt me. I should have let Gabe by in the first place, and I didn't think of it until Josh said something to me, and I know Josh was pinned there. He would have gone with me and tried to get my first W in, but also close. As you know, I hate second. I want to get a win in this series so bad. Second sucks, and I just have to live with it.
Well, I mean, I say that's now we're 2 for 2, Matt, because I say I finished second to or second or third, I can't remember to Gabe, and so he won up to you as well here tonight. I mean, but say the thing is though, if you're gonna win them, you wanna beat the best. I mean, that was Gabe, and that I mentioned I mean he can beat us in so many ways, be it outright pace, fuel strategy, fuel mileage, pit strategy. Like he's just a monster in all of these things, but yeah, I mean, definitely don't hang your head on this one, Matt. It was an amazing run there. And like I said, I mean, also that save you made, there was a yellow, but it was kind of what all happened there back behind you. So yeah, it was a really, really good run for you tonight, man. So definitely keep your head held high. That was a really great result, man.
Yeah, there was another thing I forgot to point out. I wouldn't be in position if kind of Gabe kind of yes, gave the 510 kind of like Richard Sanchez, like a bad push, and it was able to get me and Josh to the bottom of the track, and that kind of helped us out like dramatically with well, kind of thanks, Gabe, but I guess he kind of took it back in the end. So second is I'll repeat it again. Second sucks, but we'll try and get him next time. That's about it.
One more question though before we let you go, Matt. That's just kind of interesting to me. We know you as the IndyCar guy, right? Like, I can't drive those things for crap, yet you're magic in them and have made such a great time of that series. And I know I can't say that word anymore.
Not lately.
Yeah, I can't say that. I might get our stream took off for saying that word. No, I hope not. But, know you from the Tuesday night side of things and coming over here, running a full season for, I think, the first time you're running a full season with the super speedway stuff, knowing how bad you want to get a win. I've noticed a big change, though, from even just the start of the season to now, and how you race, how you're driving, and how you're methodically, making moves out there and putting yourself in position to get a win like you did tonight. What do you think the biggest difference is now that you're running full time that maybe you've learned that's truly helping you in this series?
I need to ask Jimmy Johnson for that horseshoe. That's what I need.
But I'm gonna kind of go tag on to that, Maxwell. I mean, you've had 6 starts, Matt. You've had 5 top 10s in those 6 starts. Only once you finished outside the top 10 in those races. So I mean, and it was here at Atlanta.
Yeah, it was.
And you were going for the win in that race as well, if I'm not mistaken, and
Yes, I
just
was.
unfortunately got caught up at the end. So I mean, you've been here in the position, and I mean that's what we talked about. Is that's what it takes to get these wins. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it's the consistency. I think that's what you've been finding that's been getting there for you. And I mean, you're second in points still after tonight. You've got about an 18-point cushion over third now. Lose a little bit to Gabe, unfortunately, but I mean, we're looking at this point. I mean, I think you got to be looking at top 12, right, for the playoffs.
Playoffs. Talk about playoffs. Am I gonna make it?
If you keep doing what you're doing, you're pretty safe.
That's good. That's good to hear. It's good to see how we had a good turnout tonight. Too bad for some of the other drivers who got caught up in some of the wrecks there. And it is what it is. It's super speedway racing. It's going to happen. So I'll say it one more time. Jimmy Johnson, if you happen to sneak and watch this broadcast, I need that horseshoe real quick, please.
Well, man, before we let you go and hunt for that horseshoe, we definitely want to give you the floor, though, man, for any thanks and shout outs for that runner up tonight.
I'd like to thank my teammates over at Closed Circuit Television. That without them, I would not be in a position where I am on the track here tonight. And I'm happy for Josh. You got third, which is great. And kind of worked out both of them for us. And you guys at Green White Checker TV. We'll see how my surgery goes tomorrow, and hopefully I'll be out there on Sunday. Won't be able to talk, but hopefully we can. I'm not really familiar with the next gens, but I'll give it a whirl. We'll see what happens, guys. Take it easy and have yourself a good night.
All right, I hope everything goes well, Matt. Look forward to seeing you on track here again soon. But yeah, great job tonight, man.
Yes, sir. See you guys.
All right, that was your second place finisher, Matt Wagner in the 11. And now, Guile, I don't know exactly how to go about this because
the man, the myth, the legend.
Yeah, but I feel like every time I broadcast, this is the winner we're talking to. Gabe, I love you, brother. But we got to get someone else at the top of this podium here. But, no, you had a great run here tonight, Gabe. As always, just kind of strategic, minding your P's and Q's. How'd you stay out of all the carnage here tonight? It was a little intense. Back of the pack, mid-pack, and the leaders all wrecking. So how'd you stay out of the mess here tonight?
I just got lucky, tried to stay up front most of the night there. And, it was a bit of a contentious race, if I'm honest. But I mean, I guess that's what makes it fun. The kind of tempers flaring there, and as someone said there after the race, Atlanta tends to bring out the worst in people. But I mean, for me, it was a good race, and I had some great help. I mean, I do have to apologize to Richard Sanchez there for turning him on lap 54. He was leading. I was just trying to keep him up front and got into him coming out of 2, which is probably the worst turn to get into anybody, but he did a hell of a job saving it and did a nice job coming back and finished P4.
Yeah, I mean, a big save. And you mentioned, yeah, the contentiousness. I mean, there were 4 drivers that were incident free, 2 of which didn't start the race, and then you and Robert Rock. And I mean, like I said, you guys are so I mean, hats off to you and Robert. I mean, you guys were in the thick of it all night long. Like I said, there was never really a safe place tonight. And then you mentioned, yeah, obviously the unfortunate contact coming out of 4 or out of 2, I'm sorry. And we saw the same earlier with Kevin Freeze as well. I mean, is it just how difficult it is with these trucks to kind of get them lined up, and then just how aggressive you have to be with these things at Atlanta? I mean, how it just seemed like, yeah, it seemed like kind of tonight was just really ramped up, almost like it was 2 weeks ago at Daytona as well, with the joke of that being the full moon race, but it seemed like it was just like that again here tonight.
Well, I mean, it's a combination of all those things, but I think Bud said that, you really, that the track it's tricky. I won't say it's difficult, but it's tricky. And we all know the trucks are tricky. So you can call them tricky trucks if you want to, but you've got to come out and practice racing here in a group. And that's, kind of why we have an Irish practice. Get out there in a group and practice your lines, practice what the truck can do, what you think you can do, and don't overextend the limits of yourself or the truck. You just got to learn the track. It's kind of like iRacing Super Speedway. You just got to learn it. And I mean, people race Talladega and Daytona, but you got to learn those tracks too. But this particular track is a lot trickier. It's harder. You got to learn to save that right front tire, and it's just a tricky track to drive. But once you learn it, you'll get better at it, and you just got to take it from there.
So before we let you go, Gabe, one more question for you here. Looking good, top of the points, probably looking like a shoe-in for the playoffs as per usual. What do you think this season it's going to take for you to get that championship? I mean, I would talk regular season, but we all know you're going to make it and be down to the wire here for the trophy. And Kevin Freeze got it last season, so what do you think it's going to take this season with what I feel like is a more aggressive batch of drivers than we've had before? What's it going to take for you to pull it off this year?
I mean, I've just got to match aggression with aggression, but I've got to be smart about it. I can't just go flat-footing all over the place and putting the truck anywhere I think is open. You just got to be smart about it. And, if there's aggressiveness out there, then I just got to match it. But, we've got a good team behind us, so I think we're capable of pulling it off.
Absolutely. Well, man, great run as always here tonight. You're making me want to get out there and get on your right side and see if I can't pull you back and get a win myself. I'm getting that itch again, Gabe, watching you win all the time. So, but all joking aside, though, before we let you go, now's your chance to have any thanks and shout-outs that you might want to give here on the broadcast for this W here tonight at Atlanta.
Big shout-out to my teammates. Again, without your teammates, you're nothing. You got to pit with them, you got to run with them, and I think we do a pretty good job. We kind of got split up quite a bit tonight, but that being said, I love my teammates, man. They're awesome. Team Bootnaga, and shout out to Area 51 for putting on this league, and of course you guys for putting on this broadcast the big show. It's always a blast going back and watching it. And I do want to give a shout out to my lovely wife, Jeannie, who's resting right now, but she normally tries to eyeball these races and see if her name gets mentioned. So I will continue to mention her name.
Absolutely. Well, man, great run. Go celebrate with the team, and we'll catch you next week and see if you can pull another one off, Gabe. Great job tonight. Congratulations.
All right, guys. Thanks a bunch.
All right, that wraps up our interviews with the top 3. And before we let you go here tonight on Green White Checker TV, we're going to have to give final thoughts here from the boss man himself. Boss, how do you think the race went tonight? And with 2 weeks of straight aggression, how do you think that's going to play out as we go into these 2 races left for the championship?
Yeah, so I thought I remember to put my admin hat on and kind of talk some of these drivers down a little bit, because man, a few times they definitely sounded a little bit heated. There wasn't the the friendly competition that you're used to seeing. I think the temper's flaring a little bit, like Gabe mentioned, say something that brings out the worst in drivers. And there was definitely some drama between some guys and some, maybe not want to say bad blood, but maybe some frustrations between drivers. But yeah, I mean, it definitely played a big role in the points. Now you mentioned that we're still looking at the top 12 in points. Vicente still holds it, but he is now the 12th spot in the standings. A few drivers missed the race tonight that dropped out. Dean Wilkinson, Ryan Decker, notably, but also some big climbers. Brandon Briggs, Robert Rock. They've now jumped up into the top 16, and they are only 12 and 13 points out, respectively, I believe, from Vicente. So that's going to be a tight one to still watch as well. Another big jumper is Josh Lassen with that third. He jumped up to 7th in points, so give himself a little bit more breathing room as well. So this also doesn't account for the one drop week that's going to be available for these drivers. So that's going to change things as well. So there's so much to keep an eye on. But yeah, I mean, we're like I said, we're getting down to, we've got 2 more weeks and we get to it. It's going to be Talladega next week, iRacing Super Speedway as the regular season finale. And then the 4 playoff races, Daytona, Atlanta, Talladega, and iRacing in that order. So yeah, they're going to have to be good at all 4 tracks for those final 4. And I say we're going to have 12 drivers vying for it.
Absolutely. Before we let you go, we will show you the final race results here from the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Gabe Butler, your winner here tonight, with Matt Wagner in second. Josh Laston rounding out that top 3. Richard Sanchez, after a couple different incidents, comes out in 4th. And Jim Brooks silently getting the top 5 here tonight. Eric Laurie, after missing the start of the race and starting 2 laps down, brings it back for 6th. Probably the comeback story of the race there, Gael. And Brandon Briggs there in 7th. Seth Groover 8th. Robert Rock 9th. And Bud Steele 10th. Kevin Freeze, not the night he wanted here tonight. And kind of had a few nights like that this season so far. Finishing in 11th. Mike Rimkus in 12th. Bob Fitzgerald in 13th. Gary Winters 14th. Todd Siebels in 15th. Rudy Doden 16th, Robert Jordan 17th, Adam Kilday 18th. Looking at the rest, Austin Call 19th. A lot of these guys now from 19th on back in some of the big wrecks that just kind of took these drivers out for the night. Austin Call 19th, Brian Wang 20th, Vicente Guerrero, such a strong truck, and just did not have the luck here tonight, 21st place. James Moen, same thing, strong truck, no luck, 22nd. Joshua Hanner there in the 2. We saw a lot of speed out of him and just wrong place, wrong time there in 23rd. Edwin Outlaw 14th. Patrick Groover 15th. And then the 2 drivers to not start the race. Gael Brooks, wonder where he was. And Chris Piscini not able to start here tonight. So
hey, I beat Chris, though, so I'm doing well. I didn't finish last.
There you go. That's an extra point for you in the championship, isn't it? So as we go on into next week, we look forward to having you guys, but we're rolling up on the top of the hour, so I think it's time for us to sign off here. So for myself and Gael Brooks, we thank you for joining us here tonight. Make sure you tune in Sunday night for the Next Gen Super Speedway Series with Gael Brooks there himself, and a couple other guys with the call, Boomer Logan there as well, so looking forward to hearing them. And don't forget, next Thursday night, we're back here on Thursday, and Gael, I'm done all mixed up. Where are we at? Talladega, I believe?
Yep. We should be back at Talladega, followed by iRacing Super Speedway to finish it up over there as well. Basically, yeah, we're starting off with the Sunday, then we go through Tuesday, Thursday. So yeah, so it should be Talladega Super Speedways. We just ran Atlanta on a few nights ago on Sunday night. So yeah, so in a few nights' time, we'll be back at Talladega, and of course, trucks will follow suit on Thursday. So it's gonna be fun. Talladega's really fun with those next gen cars. I've learned a lot. Ran the iRacing 500. It's all about that bubble, man. You got to stay in that bubble, and that makes those cars go way faster.
Absolutely. So looking forward to it. Sweet home Alabama, here we come. And for myself and Gael Brooks, we are signing off for the evening. Thank you for tuning in. And everyone, we hope you have a great night, and we'll see you next time.